Matt Hardy. Thank you for watching the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling Podcast.
Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling Podcast. I'm Ant, and here I am reviewing the Smackdown, the very first ThunderDome. Was it Thunder Clap or Thunder Crap? Actually, I think it was sort of in the middle. I think there was some things that were really good about it. I think there were some things that could get better and might get better in time. But we'll sort of go through it all. In terms of the setup, we was promised WrestleMania, bigger than WrestleMania. It was never going to be bigger than WrestleMania. But actually what they've achieved is a real sort of achievement. They've got a lot of people live streaming in there. I think there's a few issues with colour in terms of like the colour of people's backgrounds. Some people had like a bright green background. It was quite distracting from everything else. I wonder if WWE could develop the technology to have in a similar way to Skype does, where you can sort of take out the background and put an image. If there was to put it all as sort of a blue image or something like that, or an animated image of blue going across the thing, I wonder if it would be slightly less distracting. Especially they seem to be changing people's position quite a lot as well during the show, which was quite distracting. Then you also had a couple of shows that were completely black, which didn't show anything. So I wonder what's going on there. But you know, it's complicated tech that they're using, really. And actually, as a first go, I thought it was really good. First off, we get the Vince McMahon stood in the ring, welcoming us all to the WWE ThunderDome. Didn't really say much before The Fiend come out, and The Fiend got a full entrance. I was quite surprised at this. I expected them to reveal the Fiend entrance at SummerSlam, but instead we got it now. I thought it was good. It looked good. I like how it had like teeth on the ceiling and stuff like that. The audience, they got rid of them all, and they had sort of random images of The Fiend, and you could see that certain superstars like The Fiend had worked a lot more on the image of it, whereas other superstars like Shinsuke Nakamura, for example, was just sort of a red blur that just happened every so often. So you could see where they sort of invested the time, and I assume over time it's going to get better. But I also sort of feel, hey Alex in chat, thank you so much for joining me, my friend. I feel like in time, it'll probably get better. And, you know, it was refreshing. It was nice to be out at the Performance Center. I quite enjoyed it. So first up we have Vince, then The Fiend comes out, and we're going to get this confrontation between Vince and The Fiend. But Braun comes out to save him. A little surprised that Braun's entrance still doesn't have any pyro. It seems really obvious. You can still do the steam train thing if that's what you want to go with. And choo-choo. But, you know, have some pyros when Braun, bang, bang, bang. You know, he's your champion. Make him feel like a champion and sort of push it a bit further. Braun gets in the ring to confront Bray. Obviously, Vince is still in there. We don't actually see The Fiend and Vince. I mean, maybe it's a tease of something to come, but it would have. If you're going to do it, let's see something, you know. And we wasn't able to see that. Why was The Fiend coming out to see Vince? You know, and why was The Fiend coming out to see one of his puppets when he could have just stayed in the Firefly Funhouse to say hello to one of his puppets? And then the lights all start flickering, and it's not a second Fiend; it's Retribution. Retribution come out, the lights go out, The Fiend and Braun are stood there with Retribution surrounding the ring apron. Then the lights go out again, and The Fiend's disappeared, teleported off, along with Vince. Vince just disappeared as well. He went like, you guys need to get out of my building. One of the things about this is you just have all these sort of technical mishaps happening because of Retribution, but actually you put a lot of money into this show, and it looks impressive. Like, we don't need to see glitches at this point. So, and I knew that would be an issue when Retribution come out. My other issue with this is Retribution piled on top of Braun Strowman. Now, so on Monday we saw Retribution interrupt Drew McIntyre's speech. And on Friday, here we are again, and we're getting the champion being jumped on by a lot of smaller people. Obviously, the superstars from the back come out to clear out Retribution, led by Big E, which was a nice sort of continuation of that. Although we didn't get to see enough of that carry on throughout the night again. I'd really like, if you're going to do that story, let's invest in it, and let's have Big E as the real sort of locker room leader. In fact, it felt like Dana Brooke did a hell of a lot in the ring to clear out Retribution, to be perfectly honest. Then what happened? So they managed to clear him off Braun. Braun must have gone to the back. While this was happening, Jeff was on the outside. He got attacked. It turned out later on, it was revealed it was by AJ, leading to an injury angle for Jeff Hardy during his match. So he had a bad knee and needed to have a knee brace, which we'll go into later on. Then after the break, we get Big E and Sheamus sort of come out of nowhere. Because of all the sort of stuff happening, it was hard to see that Big E and Sheamus were carrying on the feud, which I assume was happening. And we was all sort of getting used to this new visual of the crowd being there. So then Big E and Sheamus have a match. It was a few-minute match. The lights flickered again, wondering if it was Retribution. But again, it was a little bit like, why are we doing this? It was a decent match. It was okay. It was a good one to get used to the setting, I think. When Sheamus was doing the bells of Balor on his chest, on Big E's chest, it looked decent. And one of the things I really noticed about Big E during this match is he felt more like The Rock. In terms of, he delivered like a spinebuster that looked really good, and in Zaguri that looked really sort of Rock-esque. He also did a similar thing to the People's Elbow, where he did the 2 runs into a splash. I think that can be developed on. And if you are really going to give Big E this big push, like, he's got the charisma to sort of carry that off. So go with it, and see where it goes into the future. Obviously, Big E won that match. On the outside of the ring, there was also a scuffle with King Corbin and Matt Riddle. So, yeah, we're getting that. Great. Next up, there was the hyping up of the Intercontinental Championship match between AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was backstage being seen to by a doctor, had an injury on his knee and was asking for a knee brace to be put on, which would go into stuff later on. Then we see the Lucha House Party walking backstage. They're up for a match next, but Shinsuke and Cesaro attack them from behind before going out to the ring. And we get to see the Shinsuke and Cesaro entrance. Again, this is where you could see they haven't had time to finesse that production just yet for them, but obviously they had more time and put more effort into the Fiend and Braun's entrance at this point. It was a good match. It was Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik in the ring. These guys are all great talents. Obviously, Shinsuke and Cesaro beat Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik. It was only a short match, unfortunately, but at the end of the match, there was a lot of fighting between Lince Dorado and Kalisto, who I was quite surprised wasn't in the match, actually. And Gran Metalik came to spread them apart. So looks like we're going into that, and I think that that's good. It gives Lucha House Party a story going forward. One of the bits during this match is I had the little screen Zoom call thing where Miz and Morrison come on and just started talking a load of trash about Shinsuke and Sheamus. Sort of distracted from the match a little bit, you know what I mean? If you're going to do an angle for SummerSlam, which would feel really rushed, and you're going to put Miz and Morrison against Shinsuke and Cesaro at SummerSlam, because they're not doing anything else at the minute, maybe they could have done it in a slightly better way. Maybe they could have come and cost them the match or what have you. Mind you, it was for the tag titles, but you'd DQ it or what have you. Next up, we had backstage AJ Styles. Basically, the image was shown that he was the one that attacked Jeff Hardy, and he cuts a really good promo, basically being real cocky, saying that he was out there to fend off Retribution, and he didn't realize it was Jeff Hardy. Mandy Rose was then talking to a person backstage. Mandy Rose did this promo where she was like, I don't want to be in this fight against you, Sonya. I want to make up as friends. And it just feels really weak, man. It just feels like a really weak babyface sort of thing to do. Instead of like getting some fighting going, I'm not worried about losing my hair. Let's fight. Let's do this. It just felt really weak. Thankfully, again, DeVille saved the day later on with an incredible promo. Sasha Banks and Bayley made their entrance next. Again, virtual fans, this is another thing that I've not sort of said about the entrances. They cut them off, and they have the sort of visuals playing along them. I would have thought, like, one of the best things to do is to have reactions during the entrances. that's part of the reason that we'd have fans there, but they're choosing not to do that. I just wish that they would. Then Corey Graves interviews him in the ring, asks him about who's going to face Asuka first at SummerSlam, because Bayley said it was going to be her. They basically have a match to decide, because Naomi comes in, making a quick entrance, and saying, let's have a match to decide who's going first. But I still don't really know who's going first, and the people in our chat during our watch-along didn't really know if it meant Bayley's going first or Sasha's going first. So it was a beat the clock challenge match, which was it 3 minutes 40, I think exactly. First of all, it was Sasha in the ring, and she got to 3 minutes 40, and then beat Naomi. Naomi went straight into a match against Bayley, and then beat Bayley, which I think really shocked everyone. I think everyone expected Naomi to lose twice, but instead she actually beat Bayley. So Bayley didn't just not beat the clock, but she didn't beat Naomi. I mean, it makes your champion look slightly weak if she can't beat someone after they've just been beat in a match immediately. And also putting 3 minutes 40, like I was saying, I think it's going to be 2 minutes 40, but it sort of shows how you're not giving these matches a lot of time. And that's the sort of negative, really. There were decent matches, but there was no sort of build to it because there wasn't enough time. And also, for a beat the clock challenge type of match, I don't feel that there was enough rush to get to beat the clock, you know, so sort of them really quick pinning positions and stuff like that. It was okay. I just think there's more. Asuka comes out to confront them, and they both run off. Sasha's not helping Bayley. Bayley's not helping Sasha. We're building up to this breakup, and who knows when that's going to come. And I don't mind if they carry on for another few months, to be perfectly honest, because I think it's great. Then Sonya Deville is backstage. She says that she won't comment. Dana Brooke comes up for some reason and starts spouting off some rubbish to Sonya Deville. She whacked the taste out of her mouth. It was brilliant. Just slaps her there and then. Then when we come back from the break, Sonya Deville has been put in a position where she's talking on top of the ramp to the virtual audience. First time that we've seen that being used. Obviously, when fans are there, that happens quite a lot. But the first time that's happened when the fans have been virtual. And they trusted Sonya Deville to do that. And I think that's really great for Sonya, actually, to be able to trust her, to put her in that position and see where she goes with it. And I think she did great. She cut a magnificent promo, basically saying, let's not just have it against her. Let's have it against about our WWE careers. If you're going to be afraid to fight me, this is going to happen. Let's make it really serious. And actually, that's really interesting. And I wonder what they're going to do at SummerSlam. I can't wait for the match because Sonya Deville she's championship material, man. She is brilliant. Every week, she is knocking it out the park with whatever they give her. This was a really awkward position to put her out in front of no fans with virtual fans that no one's ever done before. And she knocked it out of the park. That's amazing. That's true talent, man. That is true talent. Then we get... So there was the video package of Braun Strowman, The Fiend, and Alexa and all that. Nikki Cross delivers a promo from a chair saying that Alexa's been changed since all this has happened. She's worried about a friend and stuff like that, building that up. We didn't see Alexa in any other angle yet, so we're obviously going to get something at SummerSlam. Who knows which way that will go. It could end up being Nikki that ends up joining The Fiend. Who knows, man? And I'm quite excited to see where that plays out in the future. AJ Styles then made his entrance for the Intercontinental Championship match. Daniel Bryan appeared on stage, on a Zoom call again, in the corner of the screen, saying that Styles said he was willing to face the best, but only when they're at the worst, and that's what he's done to Jeff Hardy here to get advantage of him. Jeff Hardy comes out, and they have the match, and it was a really good match. I mean, Hardy was selling the knee straight away. From an audience point of view, we all expected him to lose at that point. This was a really easy way to get out and keep him looking strong. And Jeff's selling of that in the ring was brilliant, you know. And AJ Styles, the way that he used it in the ring was excellent. This was a really good match. This is one of the best matches I've seen this week, for sure. We've only seen NXT, Raw, and Smackdown, but it was brilliant. AJ really sort of worked over the knee. They ripped his trousers early on so we could see the knee brace. Great spot where Jeff tried to climb to the top rope, wobbled, and fell off. Hilarious, man. Someone should make a gif of that. Absolutely brilliant. And then the ending of the match, And it was when AJ Styles went to put Jeff into a Styles clash that his knee pad ended up hitting AJ into the face. AJ goes down. Jeff isn't as hurt as he's let on, but used the knee brace as a weapon, basically. Climbs up to the top rope, swanton, and gets the pin. And it was brilliant. What a really good way for WWE to tell a story. And I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. And I think my reaction on the watch along was probably a lot more exciting than the rest of the crowd. And this is another problem. So WWE came and done in his production truck, got rid of the kids, the Retribution. They've gone now. He's focusing in on the crowd, but the crowd aren't reacting, man. You know, one guy's got a cup of tea and one guy's on his phone and stuff. Because when we watch wrestling in our homes, we tend not to react to stuff. You know, we just watch it and enjoy it. We don't often cheer. Maybe I do occasionally, but you know what I mean. So it felt like there was expecting this to be a really big moment, and in theory it was. It was Jeff Hardy winning a championship on the very first ThunderDome episode, and that will go down in history. It was a big moment in the show. It was definitely the biggest moment in this show, and it's great. But by zooming in on blurry crowd reactions, and especially when you're going in too close to these sort of panels, it didn't really work. You know what I mean? Not for me, anyway. And then, shockingly as well, there was running out of time. They had to go to break. Jeff Hardy's delivering this passionate promo. I think it's his 5th time as Intercontinental Champion. And he basically gets cut off by his music because they need to go to ads. Another problem with this match, and I love the match, I thought it was great, is the break halfway through. Like, if it was at SummerSlam, we wouldn't have had that. It would have just been straight through and into a sort of 15-minute match, and they can't afford to do that on this show, and then cutting off Jeff early felt a little bit harsh after what is a great moment for Jeff. And, you know, I'm really happy with this and happy to see where it goes. AJ Styles performed abysmally. It's because Jonathan Parks is backstage. It was great. Then we get the puppets, Huskus and Rambling Rabbit. We're going to get a backstage segment. Even though we've had the Fiend on earlier, we're going to get a Firefly Funhouse later on. Joseph Parks is backstage. AJ's looking for excuses. Then we get the Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse. Let's go into that. So, Bray Wyatt puts on a Shakespearean reenactment of the love story of Braun and Alexa. Now, what the Fiends do, or what Bray's doing here, is mocking something which is really easy for us as wrestling fans and wrestling viewers to mock anyway, right? We could this whole Alexa Braun Bray thing can turn into home and away in a matter of segments. You know what I mean? It can be so quick, and so I feel like that was a bit weird to see them taking the mick out of something that they don't necessarily want them to take the mick out of. Anyway, then Braun comes in. Now, in a minute, like Cole and Corey Graves were talking about how this is a parallel universe and how did Braun find it backstage and all this sort of junk. The production as well, man. I mean, the back wall had, like, you could see the MDF panels. They'd spent all this money on a wonderful looking production in the ring. And the Funhouse looked rubbish this week. It was real weird. Anyway, Braun drags him out backstage. He delivers a weak clothesline off a 3-foot wall onto a concrete floor that we don't actually see any impact on because they had a crash mat there, which is fine. I understand. Bray gets into they send Bray off to the ambulance. Paramedics come out. The ambulance drives off a little bit, slowly reverses in a segment that took a long time. The lights in the ambulance turn red and the Fiend pops out with a bit of smoke. Ooh. My problem is this doesn't feel... So I didn't get any strength from Braun, right? You remember back about 2 years ago, Braun is doing all these wonderful sort of feats of strength, pulling down lighting trusses onto Brock Lesnar, flipping over trucks, surviving ambulance crashes like with the Roman Reigns thing. Great sort of angles that are sort of really memorable. And when Braun was on that sort of tear, it was really fun. or was he? Did he spear Kevin Owens in a toilet portaloo or something like that? You know, really sort of fun, big monster angles. This didn't feel like it for me. It didn't add anything to the story going forward, unless, like I said before, like I said during the live stream, unless WWE are wanting me to feel sorry for Bray in his Bray form, but I can't do that as a viewer because I know that Bray is more than just Bray in Bray form, in Funhouse form. Bray is the Fiend, and the Fiend will be fine with that. The Fiend would get up and walk and laugh it off. So it's sort of this conflict of interest to me. Like, the stuff they've done in the last few weeks has been really clever, especially using Alexa Bliss and injecting Alexa Bliss into this feud. Has been really subtle, clever stuff that's you know, Bray compared it to Shakespeare, and in many respects, I compare it to Shakespeare too, man. It sort of was. But this wasn't. This was just a boring segment. Didn't put Braun over. Didn't put Bray over. Just a bit weak for me. So, in terms of reviews for the show, so I thought it was a good show. I thought it was a solid, no, not good. I thought it was a solid show. I don't think it was good. I don't think it was great. I don't think it was bad. I thought it was a good show. It was a good show. I'm getting my mind confused because it's now 4 a.m. in the morning. In terms of Give Me a Whole Year stars, the gay star rating, I'm going to give it a 3.5. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the production. There's more to work on. We'll see where it goes from here. My favourite match would easily go to the Jeff and AJ Styles match. That to me, that should have headlined the event, actually. That would have been a really good way to have gone home with SmackDown Live, and I feel like the Bray segment and Braun segment brought it down a little bit for me. But Jeff Hardy winning, genius writing. Makes sense. When does WWE make sense? Best performer, Jeff Hardy, I think. Maybe AJ Styles. But Jeff was great. The selling was great of the knee. I believed it. I didn't see the swerve coming. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Hope to see a rematch at SummerSlam where they're sort of given 15 minutes and we can sort of see him go. So I've done best match, best performer, and the star rating, rock and roll. So now I'm going to get to all of your questions. Rock and roll. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. It's been good. It's been hard doing it by myself, but it's been fun, and having people to talk to is all good. So Alex says, I don't know about this one. Having Retribution with Braun and the Fiend is kind of weird. Yeah, man, that's how I felt. But it was the same on Monday when they did it with Drew McIntyre. It's a bit like, what are you doing? Can't these be interrupting Big E and Sheamus? Like, have that match start out as sort of your welcome match. You know, seeing a New Day entrance, a Big E New Day entrance in that new sort of setup would have been a really good idea. And then we could have had Retribution interrupt them, and that would have continued the story, as opposed to them interrupting Vince, Fiend, and Braun, your champion, your monster weird thing, and the chairman of the company that we see very rarely. Made no sense. He always gets some height on his splashes. Indeed, he did. Why did Mandy say that? Last week, she was all fiery in her promo. Last week, then she challenged Sonya in a hair versus hair match. Yeah. Now, I wonder if it felt weak. It felt really weak. However, circumstances around what happened with Sonya Deville, and I've heard it was Mandy as well that was in the house when the person broke in and had a knife, and some sort of terrible, scary story, man. Rumor has it that it was Mandy with her. So I wonder if both of them are just backing off a bit because maybe one of them wants some time off to sort themselves out or something like that, which I'd completely understand. And, like, you know, mental health is more important than WWE. And if they've been affected by this terrible thing that's happened and they need a out, even if they want to have a match on SummerSlam, I'd be okay with that, because what happened to them was scary. You know, home invasion is a really scary thing. And I do hope they're both okay. And I can't believe Sonya's still cutting these wonderful promos. But you're right. It felt, if that's not happening and it just carries on as, it felt weak. Mandy felt really weak, instead of, I'm going to I'm not worried about this. I'm going to take your hair at SummerSlam. Let's go. It just felt, oh, look, maybe we can sort it out as friends. Who cares? I'm pretty sure Bailey is on a losing streak. Yeah, she probably is. That means she's winning at SummerSlam then. Because that'll probably happen. We are back again, Andrew. Yes, we are. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Andrew. It's been a pleasure having you on, man. Hey, did you hear the new Arena War? Everyone can zoom in, and Braun Strowman had a fight with a gang. The new Arena War? No, I didn't hear about that, man. People in black suits were fighting Braun Strowman. The Fiend Bray Wyatt said goodbye to Braun Strowman and the new screens. Yes. Yeah, I don't understand why they're introducing Retribution into the main angle. Can you imagine if the Retribution cost us the finish at SummerSlam, the Bray and Braun? That'd be poor, wouldn't it? Or Randy and Drew. People are going mental. Unless you are going to reveal Roman Reigns is in charge of them or something daft like that. I wouldn't put them past it. Sonya is on the rise, man. Fire, says Alex. Indeed she is, man. She's incredible. Go on WWE's recent videos and you will see. Andrew, I will definitely check that out afterwards, mate. Thank you so much. He means Retribution. Read the comments, please. So, Andrew, when I do these reviews, what I tend to do is do my full review first, so that anyone, if you're not watching it on a night, you can come back day after, watch a review, and then we'll communicate. Do you know what I mean? So that's just how I set it up, and you probably didn't hear that at the start of the video. I might not even said it at the start of the video, but that's just how I do the reviews here. I hope that's all right with you. And Alex, thank you so much for being here to inform Andrew. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Abyssfully, yes, I made a joke. Woohoo! Hope I made you laugh, man. The ambulance crash was crazy. Great Balls of Fire was a decent show. That was the Reigns and Braun Strowman ambulance match, wasn't it? You had Reigns versus Strowman and Joe versus Lesnar. You did, and the Joe versus Lesnar shouldn't have ended that way. Thoughts on the grizzled young veterans? Ask as many questions as you want, guys. This is the point where you can ask questions, and I'll sit here and answer them. You know. Thoughts on the grizzled young veterans? I saw them a little bit in the Dusty Road Classics on NXT TV. They kind of remind me of the Revival with the tag team specialist vibe. So grizzled young veterans are a team from Liverpool. It's James Drake and Zach Gibson. Absolutely wonderful promos. I actually expected James Drake to have been the UK champion. I expected him to take it off Pete Dunne before, obviously, Walter come in. Or, even thingy. So if you really want to see some great grizzled young veterans, because they have been a big fixture of NXT UK, I'd suggest going back and watching the Blackpool... No, it wasn't the Blackpool one. Any of the UK pay-per-views are brilliant. And we did watch-alongs of them as well, me, Ollie and Dom at the time. So if you want to watch it at some point and watch it along with us like we do tonight, you can do. That was one of our earliest ones that we did. What's the event called where Zach Gibson did some great stuff? It was at London Alexandra Palace? And it was I think it was just the second tournament it was called. Anyway, great match, man. Really good match. And I tell you what, there's another really great match from that weekend, because I think it was a 2-day event. It's on the WWE Network. It was a 2-day event, and another wonderful match, and I think it's Shayna Baszler's best match I've ever seen her do, was against Toni Storm. Really good match, really worth going back and checking out if you get a chance at some point in a week or two or whatever, or you're bored and you want to watch some wrestling. Go check it out. Gibson is wonderful. He's a mean promo. I remember seeing him at Download Festival last year, and he come out in his suit wearing Asda carrier bags on his shoes so he won't get muddy. Brilliant, man. Absolutely hilarious. The grizzled young veterans, Liverpool's #1. Brilliant. Really, yeah, that's my thought on the grizzled young veterans. They're excellent. They're an outstanding tag team. NXT could really do with them, because I feel like NXT's tag division is really low. Main roster could really do with them, because I feel like main roster's tag division has nothing going. Yeah, but WWE, and Alex, you've heard me say this too much in this last week, they're not pushing the younger talent. They need to get them out there, man. Grizzled young veterans are awesome. Grizzled young veterans on Smackdown would be wicked. Be absolutely wicked. I wonder if Vince would understand the accent though. We'd see. Also, you look like James Drake. I'm getting compared to everyone tonight. That's all good. Yeah, I do look a little bit like James Drake, I suppose. Rock and roll. Yeats. It's got a in it now, Andrew. I can't wait until Braun Strowman and The Fiend fight in the new arena where everyone can touch on screen. Best match in history. What do you think the outcome of that match is, Andrew? What do you want to see? Do you want to see the Fiend win? Do you want to see Braun win? So my opinion is sort of different to everyone else's, really. I have problems with the Fiend because I don't think he puts on good matches. Like Royal Rumble against Daniel Bryan was brilliant, but that was Daniel Bryan who can have a great match against a broom. The Fiend, like the first Braun match was decent. It had a lot of story crammed into it, all sort of welded into one. But apart from that, like and people love the Firefly Funhouse. I wasn't a fan of it. Swamp match was terrible, and I think everyone can agree on that. You know, it wasn't a fight at all. It was just some. The Bliss segment was cool. Everything else was just Braun Strowman in chains, Bray Wyatt dripping candle wax on him, that sort of stuff. And so I'm looking forward to it because of them injecting Alexa into it. So I think that they're going to do something with the video screens, and I think Alexa's going to take over all the individual people. And I'm hoping, say to Bray, remember what we had, as Bray's destroying Braun. And Braun uses that as a way to get the win on the Fiend, which does a lot of things for me. One, I don't want the Fiend with a title. The Fiend should chase after a title. He shouldn't have the title. He should be the person he should be the hunter, not the hunted, basically. Right. Second thing, I think Braun needs to look intelligent, and if him working with Alexa all along was to trick the Fiend, it'd make him look like an intelligent monster. And I don't think he's necessarily got that at the minute. And I think that would help elevate him big time. The other way you could do it is you could have Alexa do it to help the Fiend win. And then you could have, again, Sister Abigail shouldn't be a thing. You could have Alexa as Twisted Bliss, as Harley Quinn to the Fiend, or what have you. But the Fiend's already won at the minute because he's turned Braun into a monster. I didn't get that feeling tonight from the actual show that I've just sort of reviewed. I didn't feel that was Braun going too far. You know, and I really wish that I did. I really wish that you had him run him over in the ambulance or something dramatic like that, something stupid, some monster feat. You know? We didn't get out, really. Pushed him off a little platform onto a crash mat. Cool. What's my favourite match stipulation? Good question, Alex. I'm a bit of a sucker for a Hell in a Cell, but that's partly because one of my favourite matches of all time, Foley and Taker, was in a cell. What other matches? TLCs I quite enjoy when they're done right. It depends on the story going into them, though, man. You know, Hell in a Cell. Like we've had some great Hell in a Cells, we've had some rubbish Hell in a Cells. I hate the fact that I've got a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. I think Hell in a Cell should be a match that's used at the end of a feud. You know, like the Fiend and Braun could be in a Hell in a Cell to sort of end the 3-match thing, and perhaps there was interference at some point. So they want to contain it because it can't be contained. I love the concept of a Hell in a Cell. I hate the concept of a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. However, some great matches have happened there recently. You know, like the New Day and the Usos in a Hell in a Cell. I thought that was great. I enjoyed. It was 2 women. I want to say Becky and Sasha, maybe, at the recent Hell in a Cell. That was a decent match. But yeah, that's my favourite stipulation. I think it's the sort of culmination and the sort of most brutal ending to a match. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, my friend. I think the Fiend is going to win. Actually, I'm not sure. Them injecting Alexa into it is really interesting, and I think it gives Braun a reason to win without the Fiend looking weak. Because the Fiend just goes on a tear after this. So, yeah, We'll see. We'll see. Let's have a look. I think the message retracted. Who is your wrestler of the year so far? It's really tough, man. What are we in August? I mean, we've had sort of COVID era. Wrestler of the year so far. Sorry, mate. Oh, let me think about that because that's a massive question. Who do I get most excited for? You see, I love Sammy Guevara. I think his selling is phenomenal. I enjoy Darby Allin just because I like Darby Allin, but I don't know necessarily about this year. Massive Kenny Omega fan, but again, he hasn't really done anything this year. Cody's been alright. Sorry, I'm thinking about AEW because that's my favourite brand, to be perfectly honest. WWE favourite wrestler this year. I think Drew's done a good job. I think Drew's done a good job, but I'd probably go with some. I like Bailey and Sasha. I thought the Charlotte Rhea match at WrestleMania was my favourite. Sorry, it's sort of really blasé, but I've really got to think about it, and I don't just want to sit here being quiet for you. I mean, at the end of the year, me and Dom will probably do some sort of end of year review where we'll sort of go over our stuff like that and our reasons for stuff like that. But it's an interesting thing to think about. It's been a weird year, hasn't it? It's been a weird year for everyone. So, yeah, the Fiend doesn't really need a title. He can create a storyline with anybody, kind of like Styles or Charlotte. Exactly. His motivation as a character should be to change people, and he doesn't need a title for that. There's no need for that title. And as soon as he gets a title, like, I'll tell you what will happen if the Fiend gets a title. Let's say Bliss goes with Fiend, right? And you tell me if you want to see it, because I think this is what you'll get. Right, so Fiend goes with Alexa Bliss. The next feud will be Otis, right? And it'll be Otis because he's the good person that has the Money in the Bank briefcase. And he'll be fighting the Fiend and Alexa Bliss with Mandy Rose, right? And then he'll lose all matches to that, but it'll go on for a few months. Yeah, so Otis will keep losing. Then the Fiend will go on to someone else. And let's be honest, like the big Fiend stories, you've got Randy Orton and The Undertaker as the two sort of, if you're looking at sort of the Fiend sorting out things from his past, they're the big matches. Obviously, with the massive Randy storyline and the Undertaker beating him at WrestleMania in a similar vein to John Cena. So they're the big matches. Maybe Roman Reigns as well. You could include in that. But the person that's winning that title off the Fiend is Otis. Because the idea is you have him lose all these matches at the start, he fights all these other people, and Otis, the good guy, eventually prevails by using the Money in the Bank briefcase at the right time. But you can only do that by giving the Fiend and Otis a storyline so it makes sense when that happens. Are people going to kick off about that, like Goldberg Part 2? Because I feel they would. You know, or the other thing that'll happen is Roman will beat him. Does anyone want to see Roman beat the Fiend? Or would you rather see a match with Fiend and Roman where the Fiend changes Roman? To me, that's way more compelling as sort of entertainment. Be interesting to hear your thoughts on that, though, definitely. Thoughts on the Bryan and Gulak pairing? I like that Gulak is working with Bryan. Yeah, man. I mean, Danny Bryan's been off TV for a while now, hasn't he? Obviously, he's had a baby. So, yeah, I really like them together. And I think they can put on a hell of a match together. And it was great that Bryan was letting Gulak get the wins as well. The problem is, you had that happen, and then what's happened to Gulak? What have they done with it since? So it almost feels like Daniel Bryan's fighting for them to do something with Gulak to give him this spotlight, but then nothing happens with it. You know, and there's so many other examples. Wonderful talent in WWE. Ricochet, Aleister Black, all these guys, Shinsuke, Cesaro, amazing. And they do nothing with him. And that's really sad. And I feel like Gulak's that. So Bryan putting him over, how's it helped? It hasn't, unfortunately, for Gulak. He got a new contract. You know, good, great. I want to see him in the company more, but if you're gonna have him in the company, can I see him, please? And that's not Gulak's fault. It's not Brian's fault. It's just creative, you know, and that's where a lot of everyone's issue stems with. Sorry if I sort of give you the same answers, but that's sort of my position on it. You know what I mean? Alex says, I feel like Iron Man matches, Iron Women matches always deliver. You think? Do they? I respect what you're saying. I mean, going back to sort of Michaels and Brett, absolutely, man. I mean, they were amazing. But then, like, was it Dolph and Seth that had an Iron Man match? Ah, drab. Excuse me while I drink my tea. Yeah, so it depends. It depends on the feud, man. I mean, I assume you wrote that one was talking about the stipulation. If the feud calls for it, it's a great ending to a feud. If it's just thrown in there a bit like Dolph and Seth was, then it doesn't really work. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree. They can deliver if the story's right. You know what I mean? I would have made Sasha beat Becky at Hell in a Cell because of her great return. Yeah, I mean, was it at a point where Becky was on that sort of meteoric rise? Was that after she won the belts at WrestleMania or before? I can't remember. I remember it being a good match. I remember it being the first on the card, and it was better than the Charlotte Sasha Hell in a Cell because that had a couple of botches, didn't it, where tables didn't break and stuff like that. But I can't remember in terms of, was that last October? I feel like it was last October, but it might have been the October before. If it was the October before, the reason she didn't lose is because they were pushing her to go to that big thing at WrestleMania that she ended up doing, you know. So I understand that. Sasha's a great wrestler. Sasha is a wrestler who really makes me nervous sometimes during a match, though, because I'm always afraid she's going to get hurt. Sometimes she can go really floppy, and I get really anxious that she's going to get hurt. Let's see what else we're saying. Braun Strowman needs to retain. The Fiend doesn't need the title. Braun Strowman's a genius. Andrew, it made complete sense, and it'd mean that you had an intelligent monster as a champion, and you can go places with that. If the Fiend beats him, then what's Braun? He's back to square one, isn't he? You know, I love Drew McIntyre as a champion, but I also don't see the harm in putting it on Randy Orton and putting it back on Drew later on. I don't see the harm in that at all, to be perfectly honest. I see more harm in putting it on the Fiend, but that's just me. Yeah, Braun is good. Yeah, I love Sammy. I can't wait in like 3 years where he goes on a major single run. Oh, another wrestler, MJF, man. MJF is outstanding. Outstanding. His promo delivery is brilliant. Put on a great match at one with Canadian Stampede. Was that Double or Nothing? Really enjoyed that match against Jungle Boy. Yeah. Sammy G's selling though, man. Sammy G's selling is next level. You know that move that Matt Hardy does, where he smashes your head into the turnbuckles, and it's sort of really corny. You can freeze any moment of that with Sammy Guevara, and it looks hilarious. He's brilliant. Yeah, you're right. I don't know if the Fiend has enough competition to be the champ. No, because there's no one for him to change. And do you think AEW will have a heel problem? Like if Cody, Page, and Omega all turn heel, I feel they'll turn Omega heel, but I feel like he just end up being a tweeter, or tweener, because everyone loves him. Cody, Page, Omega, all turn heel. You're right. It would leave a lot of people not faces, but why not turn the Inner Circle face? Why not turn Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara face? Because the audience will accept that. You know, the audience will quite happily follow Jericho wherever he goes. I actually think him and Sammy as a face tag team would be a really good thing. Who else could you turn face that's heel at the moment? Because you're right. There needs to be a big switch, I think, with the Elite. And I would like to see them turn everyone heel apart from Paige and maybe Dusty, not Dusty, Dustin, because I don't think he needs to be heel. But Cody, I'd like to see heel. Young Bucks, I'd like to see heel, and and what's he called? Kenny Omega, of course. Yeah, I mean, he's not been sold to an American audience because he's sort of. Here's the thing, though, right? People don't realize that the reason Adam Page is so great is partly because of Kenny Omega, because they put him in there with Kenny Omega to get really good at this sort of stuff, and Kenny Omega's are really good at making them matches. And so everyone's like, "Oh, it's Page that's great. It's Page that's star." Kenny Omega makes everyone look great, in my opinion. Kenny Omega is an incredible wrestler. We're just because these characters not moving forward, people don't appreciate him as much as I feel they should. You know, Private Party's best match was against Omega and Page. I guess that was down to it was Omega, man. I'd love to watch Dynamite tomorrow. I'm really gutted I'm not going to be able to because I've got plans, unfortunately. And obviously, we normally do watch longs of Dynamite, but with it being on Saturday, I'd already made plans. But again, we are on Wrestle Story on Sunday, so please come and join us for that. It'd be a good laugh. I hope that answers your question, Alex. Sort of. Yeah, they would have a heel problem if they didn't turn people face, I think is what I'm saying. But you can turn some big characters face, and I think it'd really mix things up. And AEW were sorry to keep going on. AEW were really good at having seasons, like pay-per-view ends, and they move into the next season of whatever that is. And I definitely think they can handle that. Yeah, I'm sure. I like tea, too sweet tea. Indeed, I've got my brew, man. Got me brewing and Gimme a Whole Year mug. You can get these on Redbubble. Good job I didn't say RedTube because that's a different website, and Dom would kill me again for saying that. Iron Man matches always deliver. Michaels versus Hart, Bayley versus Sasha, Lesnar versus Angle. I wasn't sort of watching during the Lesnar angle, so I can't really comment. Michaels and Hart, absolutely. Bayley and Sasha, yes, agreed again. I didn't see the Lesnar angle one, to be perfectly honest with you. So, but yeah. But then when I say Seth and Dolph, you then go, nah. Yeah, I'm anxious when Sasha takes a German suplex from Asuka. Her body goes real floppy, man. Andrew's drinking tea, rock and roll. Most underrated wrestlers of the year. Sammy, Sonya, etc. Oh, man. Sammy, Sonya, great calls, man. I mean, Sonya's world class, man. She's so ready. Put a rocket on her now. I'm worried that this stipulation is down because someone needs to take some time off, and I hope it's not Mandy because she's ready, man. She is ready. Bailey's been incredible. Sasha's been incredible. Their angle's been incredible. Asuka's been good. I prefer a little bit more serious Asuka, I'll be honest. I quite enjoy this. But so underrated wrestler. Do you call Eddie Kingston underrated? That match it was only one match, but my God, that was great. Underrated. Kenny Omega, probably, man. Kenny Omega, because everyone just thinks he's doing nothing at the minute, and I'm like, he's doing all really good stuff. Is that an answer that's acceptable? Because I know people still love Kenny because of his work in New Japan, but it just hasn't come to that point yet. And I love the New Japan stuff that he did, you know. Thoughts on Chris Jericho saying FTW Championship doesn't mean anything. I like the belt, but I can see where he's coming from. It's not a real official belt. Dude, completely agree with everything Jericho said. But saying that, they can do something with it in the future. So it just depends where it's going to go. I mean, they haven't yet, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't see the point if it's going to be a real championship. At the minute, it feels a bit like the $1 million belt, though, and I don't mind that. Do you know what I mean? The $1 million belt in WWE, I thought was always a great tool for Ted DiBiase. Maybe it can be that for Brian Cage, but we haven't seen Brian Cage engage in much of a story outside of that championship match, really. Have we? No. I mean, I haven't been keeping up with Dark, I'll have to be honest. So that'd be my. It depends where they go in the future, man. It could be a Ted DiBiase thing, and you know who'd ever get rid of the $1 million belt? I say that is a great belt, actually. I know it's corny as all hell, but it is great. Imagine if the Usos just went to the Indies like AEW and New Japan, and then came back to WWE. Be refreshing, wouldn't it? Be refreshing to see what what the Usos could do outside of the WWE's sort of their style, because the Usos are great. The Usos are great, but they're constantly sort of held back by the same sort of things, and also they don't have a tag division to work with. That's why we get New Days versus the Usos, and they put on wonderful matches, but that's because there isn't a tag division. And it's not that there's not talent, it's that they don't give them the opportunities that they need to create that sort of interest, So, look at Fandango, They were in a spot about 2 or 3 years ago now where they could have won the titles, man, off the Usos, and they just never give it to them. And actually, there was so over. And Fandango is a wonderful talent. Tyler Breeze is really good as well. Where are they now? Doing nothing in NXT. We watched NXT the other night with you, Alex, and I was like, yeah, what are you doing with him? I mean, it's a fine match, but there's now happening. It's quite interesting because so going into that a little bit further, Triple H has recently said that there's a new draft that's happening very soon, and there's a chance that people will be drafted to NXT. Well, that's quite interesting, and we'll have to see where that goes in the future. I mean, I think it'd be great to get a load of main roster talent on there and really switch it up, give them a chance. And one of the things that he said was about the performers creating new characters, and I think so many of them need that because the characters just been buried. Look at Chad Gable's heel turn that lasted a week, and then he was doubting it, and now he's not on TV. Oh, he was in that. He was in that segment where he was beating up Retribution. That's the other thing. So what's going to happen when Retribution are revealed and all of the wrestlers that come out tonight, because the whole locker room come out, are revealed? So what if Chad Gable's part of Retribution, the right height? What's going to happen then? Because he come out tonight to save him from Retribution. Are we supposed to forget about it? I think we might be able to. Yeah, for sure. Kenny is so good every time. Everyone takes him for granted to do. Absolutely. Just imagine if Braun Strowman and the Fiend Bray Wyatt became a team after this war. That'd be interesting, Andrew. That'd be cool. Be a good place to take it. Yeah. As long as you don't turn it into Wyatt 2.0 and you actually do a new sort of thing. And don't just have Braun as a black sheep, but have him become something more sinister. Yeah, I could see something like that working. Braun's got the sort of comedy chops to make it work as well at times, like the Fiend has. Yeah, good idea. As long as it's written right, it could be interesting. Would you like, Alex says, Ronda and Shayna to become women's tag champs? No. I'd rather have Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke become women tag champs in a stable with Ronda and Shayna, which would be called the Four Horsewomen. And, part of that is look at sort of the Four Horsemen with Rick, whoever the fourth member was, and Tully and Ann. You had them as the tag team champions, and Ronda's Rick. You know what I mean? So I'd sort of go that direction, I think, slightly more. Would you say Shawn Spears is the Dolph Ziggler of AEW? Or, you know how much Dom loves Dolph Ziggler. I can't believe I've had to mention Dolph Ziggler tonight. You can put him in there with anybody and he'll have a good match. Also, people love both and have world title potential, but they're kind of mid-card. Yeah, I guess so. Like, I'd say Dolph's a better seller than Shawn Spears, I'd say. And so I always equate Dolph more to Sammy. But Sammy doesn't have the experience that Shawn's got. And Dolph and Shawn both have that experience. So I feel like put a guy in with Shawn who's running a wrestling school, bear in mind as well. So sort of able to really train people and work with people and get a decent match out of him. And Shawn's a talent himself. The stuff he did in NXT was really cool. His feud with Bobby Roode that never eventually played out, but that was brilliant. That was really cool. I think got brought up number 10 in the Rumble and did nothing after that. So yeah, that'd be my sort of comparisons to Dolph. Yes, partly, I think. I'm sad that Jason Jordan got injured. He would have been a star. I remember, I think they were building Jordan versus Rollins at Mania for the Intercontinental title, and maybe have Jordan retire his father, Kurt Angle. Yeah, man, it would have been a good match. Yeah, he got really badly injured, didn't he? Was it his neck he injured seriously badly? And like, yeah, he's working backstage now as a producer, I believe. I don't think he was part of the Fairload people, but he's still got a job at least in the same sort of sense as Tyson Kidd. There's another guy that got injured way too early, you know, and Jason Jordan's another example of that. Obviously, he was having with Seth, he was tag champions with him, wasn't he, when he was injured, I believe. I think that's where they were. Mr. Wrestling Hands, welcome. Everyone go and join Dark Order. Mr. Wrestling Hand is here. If he offers you Kool-Aid, please don't drink the Kool-Aid. Grand Metal Elite just complete with the Montez Ford for Botch of the Year. You see that dive, like, oh my god. Mr. Wrestling Hands, I was reading a bleeding comment at the time. I missed it. I'm going to have to go watch it. What happened? Can I see it on YouTube? I bet I can. I'll watch it now for you all. How weird. I'll watch it for you all. I will watch it for your entertainment. Grand Metalik. Botch. Was it a bad one? Alright, let's see what we get. The Botch guy's uploaded it. Yeah, of course the Botch guy's uploaded it. That's great. Thank you, Botch guy. Botch guy's got a really good channel, by the way. He was on our chat the other week, which is really cool. Let's see. It says it was a scary moment. Right, so Cesaro's on the floor. Oh dear. Yeah, he just sort of fell, didn't he? Yeah, he didn't even get his like groin anywhere near Cesaro's head for him to catch him. He just sort of like caught him with his ankles, like that was gonna do anything. My goodness. Rock and roll. Yes, I saw the dive. Oh my god. It wasn't as bad as the Blades the other week where he did that flip out onto the table and missed the table completely. That was another one, you know. We was doing a live review of that, or watch along with that, and I missed that because I was reading comments. I need to. This is fairly new to us, so I'm trying to still figure out how to read comments and watch wrestling and talk to you guys at the same time. It's a bit mad, and also like not just be quiet. You know, I'm really struggling during the promos, like to just to engage because I need to listen to what they're saying as well. Do you know what I mean? If not, I miss so much. That dive was tough. Metalik hit his head hard on the floor. Yes, he did. Ole Anderson was the fourth member of the Horsemen. He was for part of the time, but they had several, didn't they? It was a revolving door at that point at certain points. How would you have booked Dean's? I love the questions, Alex. Thanks so much for coming down and just like chatting to me. I'm flattered that you want to hear my opinion about all this. And you know, I'm not always right. Jesus, how would you have booked Dean's heel turn in WWE on Seth? Dean's heel turn on Seth. I wasn't really watching during the Shield era, so the Dean Ambrose heel turn. I don't know that I can give you out compelling, dude. Sorry, mate. No. Was that when they were? Hang on, they were tag champions. Did he turn heel then? No, is that? Are you talking about the heel turn where he had that stupid gas mask? Because were the tag champs or something? And he wore that stupid gas mask. Yeah, let me know if that was the heel turn that you mean. Because yeah, that was done really poorly, wasn't it? That's me not even remembering it was heel turn. But that was when Dean was so unhappy with WWE that he was just doing this stupid crap because he knew that he was clearing off soon. You know. Let me carry on, and then if that's the part you mean, name somebody who could low key break out. That's somebody in NXT UK that most people don't know about. Everyone knows about Toni Storm. She's a talent, man. She is a talent. Her versus Becky Lynch would be money. Serious talent. So NXT UK that people don't know about. Well, we did an interview on the channel. Dom interviewed him. Wild Boar, Mike Hitchman, and Primate. So they're two blokes who are in a tag team, and although they don't really get much of a push, they are seriously a bit like Omega. I think Hitchman runs his own wrestling school, actually. So again, is really good at working with guys and getting the most out of guys and making them look $1 million. In terms of star Gibson, Zach Gibson, man, he can talk. He can talk. A Zach Gibson promo is brilliant. Seriously gets a crowd booing. Who else is really good? Walter, but everyone knows Walter. Mark Andrews is really, really, really good. I don't know I don't know how many people know him or not, but Ilya Dragunov is a character that I really struggled to get into at first, actually, because it was way over the top, sort of this crazy Russian with a. But actually, his matches have been brilliant, and he's had matches now at the takeovers, the UK takeovers, against Cesaro and Finn Balor, and both were brilliant. So if you can, check them out, man. Really, really good. Really struggled to get into him at first, but actually brilliant. Yeah, didn't they reload the Horseman with Benoit? They did at one point, I believe. When Roman had revealed he had leukemia and won the tag titles the same night. Right, okay, so it was then. Yeah, it was rubbish, wasn't it? And then Vince was wanting him to play on Roman's leukemia at one point and cut a promo against his leukemia because he mentioned it in the Jericho podcast after he'd left. How would I have booked it? I don't know. I just don't care. You know, I'm not a massive Dean Ambrose fan. Our last likes him, but I'm not a massive fan of. He's always seemed a bit weak to me, and I don't love him in AEW. I think he's good, but I don't love him. I'm not like 100% behind him as a champion for sure. I think he's all right. I think he's decent in the ring. I sort of feel like he needs to loosen up a bit. Mind you, we put on a great match with, again, Omega at that pay-per-view with the new hardcore match that was insanely good. That was, you know, that left me some positive vibes. You know, that felt like a Terry Funk Mick Foley hardcore match. You know what I mean? Yeah, sorry, mate. I don't really know what to add about the Dean Ambrose. I just don't really care. Thoughts on Trent Seven? I mostly know about Dunn and Bate, but not as much about Seven. Okay, mate. So Trent Seven, there was a great match. It was one of my favourite matches from 2 years ago, I think now. And it was an NXT UK show. And it was in the build to another brilliant match between Tyler Bate and Walter at, I think it was TakeOver Cardiff. And basically, Walter had injured Tyler Bate, and Seven was standing up for his mate type thing. And he had this insanely good match with Walter, and it's just on NXT UK TV, and they tore the house down, man. It was brilliant. It was a real classic. I'll have to find out what episode it was. We'll have done a review on it because we used to do NXT UK reviews. Me and my friend Ollie. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He's a really good wrestler. He's really good at selling, and he's got that Johnny Gargano thing about him, where when he's getting beat, you believe that he's knocked out, and you want to see him fight back. I think is how I'd describe Trent Seven to you. But it's great that you want to know more about UK wrestling, man. So who do you think break Walter's reign? Maybe Balor. I don't think Balor, because I want to see Balor back on main roster, man. I mean, the Demon thing's too big, and also, like, I'm a massive Finn Balor fan. Again, another incredible worker, who I think is going to be leaving soon, because WWE are doing nothing with him. Like, since he's gone to NXT, and even on main roster, he wasn't doing out in main roster, so going to NXT was fine. He hasn't. Everything's felt a little bit Finn Balor light. And that's not him. It's because he hasn't been putting in any compelling angles or stories. But when he was putting into NXT, I was expecting him to have you know, even if he got beat, I'm not the type of person who gives a crap if my favorite wrestler's beat or not. As long as it's a great match, I don't care, and a great story. I really don't care. But they haven't done that with him. That's a sin, baby. That's a sin. It's a sin. Mr. Wrestling Hands says, Andrew says, yay! I hope your tea's going well, Andrew. Mr. Wrestling Hands says, I'm not digging the Thunderdome. The camera keeps zooming in on some of the audiences. And a lot of the audience's cameras are at very low resolution. You can't see every person. So, Mr. Wrestling Hands, I talked about it quite a bit at the start of this video in the review. So, if you want to hear like my full opinions on it, but everything you've said, I've said exactly the same. The worst part was when Jeff Hardy won the title, and they were they were zooming in on people for a reaction. And there's Michael just having a cup of tea. Mary's on the phone to her mum. Cindy's doing her nails. Colin's playing League of Legends, and it's weird. It's like they expected it to be some massive thing, but when you're in a home, I think I know I reacted to it, but that's partly because I'm reacting with you guys. You know what I mean? Like even if I was watching it, I'd just be like, it's just obscure. Just wait. I'm just sat on my laptop watching a thing. I'm not going to start going yeah. And then I noticed some crowd members trying to get into it with boo as well. It's quite funny. It was interesting. They need to do a bit of work on it. But I did give all my opinions at the start, so do check that out, mate, if you are interested in my opinions. Alex says, who from the Attitude Era who could have done better now and that didn't really get a shot in the Attitude Era? Shamrock was really good and hyped at first. Indeed, he was in his feud with The Rock. But yeah, so I might. So my pick might be him. Good in the Attitude Era, didn't really get a shot. Al Snow was pretty good. Didn't really do out. It's hard because a lot of them went on to do great stuff. Like I always loved Jeff and Matt, but obviously, like Jeff did a lot in the future. But then that was sort of 10 years past the Attitude Era. You know what I mean? Who else from the Attitude Era was really good? Terry Funk. He was a bit older, but he was brilliant. So entertaining. Sorry, mate, I'm drawing a bit of a blank. I quite liked Al Snow when I was younger. But we do a series on the channel, I don't know if you know, Alex, it's called Wrestling Rewind, where we've been reviewing pay-per-views from WrestleMania 1 up to current day, and we've got up to 1998 No Way Out of Texas, I think. And we sort of cover a lot of stuff on there, so if you are interested in checking out some of our or sort of early Attitude opinions and stuff, check out one of them. And like I say, hopefully that'll carry on again after we do that. I think what we might do, we've talked briefly about, is we might end up doing watch-alongs like we're doing now of the pay-per-view, like we did with the Royal Rumble one, and then doing sort of our long-form Wrestling Rewind review as we go on. But we're relaxing a lot more into this and stuff, you know what I mean? So I think we've got better. I hope we've got better. Who the hell knows? Mr. Wrestling Hand says that was before Dean Want from small to swole. Yes, he did. He's bulked up a bit, yeah. Alex Smith is joining Dark Order. What do you think would have happened if Balor wouldn't have got injured? I think they're going to keep Balor in NXT for a while. So I'm assuming you're talking about when he won the Universal title. I think he would have had a great reign from him. I think he would have had some wonderful stories. I think Vince would have understood it a lot better. I think Vince would have wanted to see the Demon too much. And I think the Demon may have become a regular fixture because he sells figures. And that could have ruined the Demon big time, because actually the use of the Demon as a very rare sort of special treat was actually brilliant. So, and then he was never in a position to be pushed again, apart from that match with Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble. But even then he was losing, so there's no need to use the Demon. So I feel like, although I want to say it would have been great, I also feel it could have ruined the Balor character in WWE as a realistic sort of option, unfortunately. Rock and roll. Dunham Bate at Takeover Chicago for the UK title was definitely a 5-star match. Yeah, it was brilliant. It was an awesome moment for me as a UK fan and for others as UK fans to have an American audience chanting UK. That was pretty sweet, and that was a wonderful match. One of the best matches on the card. I love that match. The 2016, I think that was my favorite match of that year. Shinsuke and Cesaro and Sami Zayn was 2016, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was my favorite match from that year. It was wonderful. It was wonderful, man. Cracking. If Cross wins the title, do you think Demon Finn could end his reign? Or do you think Cross will just relinquish the title when he goes to main roster? I don't really know enough about Cross, I'll be honest with you. I mean, obviously you've got the Mystique there, so Fiend feud would work, but I don't think the Fiend would win it. They'd just keep it on Cross because he's a newer talent and they don't know what to do with him. I feel like Finn should go to AEW, I really do. I think he'd be so much better use there. So sorry, I don't know enough about Cross. I've seen bits of him, but I don't have a fully formed opinion on his character. I think I'll get a much better understanding of Cross after Takeover 30 this weekend. Would I have Lee or Cross win? I really don't know, man. Toss a coin. I think I'd say Lee. And the reason I'd say Lee is because I feel the hot shot in the title. And I feel like they're doing it for ratings. And I feel like it's the wrong thing to do. I didn't like Lee winning the title because it felt as a response of AEW. And actually, Adam Cole's reign was sort of legendary and brilliant. You know, some really great matches in that. When you look at the Gargano and Ciampa matches, outstanding stuff. You know what I mean? And to lose on TV the way he did, with it being revealed the week before and all that sort of stuff, just felt like a massive wet fart. You know what I mean? At the end of a really delicious dinner. I didn't enjoy it, man. I didn't enjoy it. I was really gutted for Adam Cole. And then, like, you know, him facing Pat McAfee is like the runs afterwards. That's because NXT is stacked right now with top level guys, so it's a bit hard to put him in a feud with someone. This is Lee and Cross. Top level guys. Alex Smith says thoughts on Big Swole. Swole. She gives me Jacqueline vibes. Also, why doesn't New Japan have a women's division? I don't know, man. I hear there's a promotion called Stardom that's all women. There is. I was watching some Choco Pro. Emi Sakura, who was a wrestler in AEW, and I didn't really like her in wrestling in AEW at all, actually. She was sort of this... she had this Freddie Mercury gimmick, and she was trying to do it as a heel, and she was just messing about with face. Anyway, I was watching Choco Pro, and that had some interesting women's matches in. Very different. Stardom, I've not seen enough of Stardom, but they had that's the promotion that Hana Kimura was in that committed suicide earlier this year, I think. I think she was in that promotion. And I watched some of her matches because I was interested to find out about her. And she was very good. So yeah, there's some great women out there. New Japan, not so much so. I feel like Aja Kong was in it at one point, but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't watch enough New Japan to sort of say. But my thoughts on Big Swole. She's cool. Love the stuff that she's doing with Britt Baker. I can't believe Britt Baker's injured and they're still giving her such great relevancy. I think that's great, and it's been really entertaining. So I'm enjoying Swole's feud at the minute. I heard she lost it. Did she get cost at the tag tournament? I've still not seen that from Monday. I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. What do you think would have happened if Ali didn't get injured and he was the one instead of Kofi? Probably exactly what happened to Kofi. He would have lost it at exactly the same time to a 9-second squash match to Brock Lesnar. And it would have been a wonderful sort of moment for Ali and buzzworthy and sort of elevated his status permanently within the company. I still think the ending would have been the same, unfortunately. And I think people would have been really angry about it, as they were about Kofi Kingston losing. Dan Severn and Owen Hart were the biggest missed opportunity WWE messed up. One of, man. I mean, yeah, Owen Hart was incredible. Dan Severn. It is 5 a.m. I'm sorry, I'm not thinking. Owen Hart was so damn good. Indeed, he was. Thoughts on Gargano versus Andrade takeover? Philly. It had everything. Zelina, Candice, and the possibility of Ciampa showing up. I think that was the match that really sold me on Andrade. Before that, Andrade was having these weird sort of. He was almost like when you got to NXT, you'd have a match at Takeover with Andrade to show what you could do for a lot of people. It wasn't until that match with Gargano where I was like, he's outstanding. But again, Gargano's outstanding. So you put in two great workers and you suddenly see the potential. You know what I mean? And also I think it was probably difficult for Andrade to get used to the WWE style as well. Obviously, being a luchador in Mexico originally, WWE style is very different. And here he come into WWE and he's not wearing a mask, which he was sort of used to, and had to get used to that as well. And that's sort of a learning curve, as well as developing his style to be more than just the high flyer luchador. And I think that was the match where I realized that Andrade was really good and had the potential to put on some great matches. That's my thoughts of it. Why don't they bring up the history between Sammy and Nakamura and Cesaro? Indeed, man. Sammy has great takeover matches with both, so I kind of understood when the faction formed. Yeah, but they never used that, did they? Never used that. And, Sammy was Shinsuke's debut match, and that was an outstanding match again, man. That was my favourite match of that year. That really got me into Shinsuke. And then after that, it was when I started to look back at his other stuff, because they hardly used him on TV for, when he was in NXT, like, it was an hour-long show at that point, and you'd see him occasionally, but not that often, you know what I mean? So that's when I started to look back at Shinsuke's other stuff, and, I'm surprised we never got Shinsuke versus Brock in WWE, because the idea of Shinsuke as the alien and Brock as the beast writes itself. And they had a match in New Japan that was really good as well. So I'm surprised they never did that, but I don't think they can now. I think they've sort of killed Nakamura. Mr. Wrestling Hands says Cross should stay in NXT because Vince won't understand his character at all and would make him another cult character like Bray was and totally screwed up his personality. Yeah, probably. I mean, so would you say Cross is quite similar to Aleister Black then? Because Aleister Black is a character that Vince doesn't get and wants to see a gimmick change to at some point. That's why I honestly think it could be Black that's doing something with this Retribution. I think that's the way they could go. I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know if it's going to work for Tommy End. But, we'll have to see. We just need a face to Retribution is what we need. If it was Aleister Black that got into there tonight and started black massing Fiend and Braun Strowman, then we wouldn't have just thought this was a load of school kids, pile on. You know what I mean? I thought that Velveteen Dream was going to beat Cole at the last takeover when he went for the title. Do you think they knew about the allegation and made Cole's historic reign continue? Well, they did know about it because it had come out before. Velveteen also had a lot of issues with a car. There was some sort of car incident where he broke into someone's car or broke someone's car or beat down someone's car or something. There was another real diva-ish thing that happened. As well as these allegations had already happened. There was just brought about again with the speaking out movement, really. And more was made and more sort of went on with it, I think. So, yeah. Yeah, I expected Velveteen to win that match. I think in our predictions video, I probably did one of them. I probably said Dream. It feels like Dream's time to win it. The match was quite good, actually. I really enjoyed that cinematic match. A lot of people didn't like it, but I quite liked the atmosphere of all the cars around in a circle and stuff like that. It went on a little bit at times, and I get that, but I did a video a while ago of my top 5 favorite cinematic matches, and if that match had happened when I'd done that video, I think that would have been number 5 in that list. And there you go. Last question. Thoughts on Angel Garza? He has Eddie Guerrero charisma vibes, and think a Garza versus Andrade rivalry match would be so good. Angel Garza is very good. What I've seen of him, I haven't seen enough of him to comment on how good he is compared to Guerrero. I don't think, but he's put on good matches. The biggest problem for Garza and Andrade and Zelina and that entire faction. Well, first of all, sort of mixing it up a lot didn't help during WrestleMania era, but also I think as a faction, they feel fairly new, but you can't gauge an audience's reaction to them because there isn't an audience there. And I think because Garza was brought up for WrestleMania, is that right? I feel like if they had an audience there, they'd be able to see what's working and what's not working. It's very difficult. You imagine yourself as a wrestler going into these matches with no one there. You know, when I did my Deonna Purrazzo interview, this is one of the questions. Like, at what point did you know it was successful? And I don't feel like they can really know it's successful because social media feeds us rubbish, right? I was looking at Twitter. This will always stay with me. Twitter at WrestleMania this year, and even Dom was tweeting away how great this Randy Orton and Edge match was. How great it was! I'm like, this is crap. This is rubbish, right? And I'm looking at all this. Oh, this is great. This is. I'm like, this is crap. It's no good. It's just junk on my TV screen, and people do. I mean, people say that Twitter's a negative place and stuff, but I also feel that the opposite is true sometimes, that people praise rubbish, you know? And that's one of the things I always try and do is sort of try to keep it on a level, you know, and not let sort of favoritism come in. And when things are rubbish, just say the rubbish, you know? We don't have to sort of not lie. We don't have to say it's great. So I don't even know what I've gone way off it, haven't I? So Angel, Andrade, and Garza. So my feeling is that they both as a tag team and also as a backstage, they haven't been able to gauge their success because they haven't had fans. And until that happens, because the tag team would have changed by now. No, I'm not saying heel turn or what. Their dynamic would have changed because there would have been reactory to the audience. Does that make sense? Can't believe 5 of you are still watching me at 5 in the morning just talking rubbish. We are going to end this in a second. Tommy N to AEW. I'd love it. That's because CMLL owns the LA Sombra character. Not sure on mask wise. CMLL. So the La Sombra must be Andrade's character before he came to WWE. That's cool. Thank you for that, mate. Did you like Gargano versus Ciampa, the final beat? Loved all of the Gargano and Ciampa stuff. That's been one of the best feuds of recent years, certainly in WWE. Easily, it's been brilliant. I didn't see the last match they did though. The one that happened just before WrestleMania. If that's the final beat, if that's the one you mean, I haven't seen that one yet. Do you think Leo Rush will ever come back to WWE? Who knows? If he does, I don't think he'll go very far because he's too small for Vince, to be perfectly honest. So I think he'd be better doing something else. And he didn't seem like he was that happy with his stint in WWE. So I think once he's done it, unless he's to make a massive name for himself and get offered a load of money, I don't see why he would. I don't think I would. Thoughts on Deonna Purrazzo? I heard she was good, and WWE dropped the ball with her by releasing her. And what was your thoughts on the greatest wrestling match of all time? You are whacking in these questions. So Deonna Purrazzo, wonderful in WWE, but she only had about 16 televised matches. 2 of them were on NXT UK. They were good matches on NXT UK. I think it was, again, title picture, probably Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley type matches. Good. I spoke to her in an interview. It's on the channel. I did a couple of weeks back. Really nice lady. Talented. Can't wait to see more of her. Her match at Slammiversary was the best match on the card, in my opinion. So yeah, I think they did drop the ball. She was nearly in AEW. She was nearly in All Out. And WWE said to her, "Well, look, we can," because she was offered the contract. I think this is right. She was offered the contract, and then All Out was happening 6 weeks. So she'd either start at WWE and then have 6 weeks before All Out, but she won't be able to do All Out, or she could do All Out and then go straight into NXT. And she looked at it, and it was explained to her that she'd be 6 weeks is 6 weeks pay and 6 weeks TV time. And she gets there, and instead of having this All Out, which was a monumental event, like huge in the wrestling world, you know, and would have been a great platform for her, for people to see her, like it was for others in that match. I think Chelsea Green was in that match as a bride gimmick, and it was great, you know, really cool. So she would have been in that match. Yeah, and so she gets to WWE for 6 weeks of TV time, and I don't even think she was on TV, or she was on TV as a debut, and that was it, and nothing else. Real shame. A real loss from WWE. TNA are giving her the opportunity to show she can control a division and be head of a division. Good for her. Better, you know, good for her. Good for her, man. Good for her. I wish her every success. And go back and check my interview with her, because it was really cool chatting to her. Really cool chatting to her. The greatest wrestling match of all time. I thought it was a really good match. Really good match. Definitely not the greatest wrestling match of all time. Definitely really hurt by the booking of calling it the greatest wrestling match of all time. But really entertaining. Thoroughly entertaining. One of the best. If they'd had that match at WrestleMania, it'd be considered one of the top 10 matches in WrestleMania history. You know, it was great. It was a great match. Greatest match of all time? No. But it was a great match. And actually, they should have had that match at WrestleMania without the stupid gimmick. You know, just have a solid wrestling match. But then I suppose they probably hadn't the time to cut and make it as good as it could have been, and all that sort of stuff, maybe. Blew my expectations. Absolutely, Alex. But that's, you know, stupid gimmick. That's because Patrick Clark gimmick Velveteen Dream went straight to his head. You can tell in the ring and backstage, and I don't think Vince will get his gimmick at all, unfortunately, says Mr. Wrestling Hands. It's really difficult, isn't it? Ultimately, he's a bad person, man. He's not a good person. Yeah, power can go to your head. Dom says that absolute power corrupts, and it's something that I've always disagreed with, because I don't think it corrupts everyone. I think you just have to be a weak mind to be corrupted by it. But he's used his power and influence to do some very wrong things, in my opinion. And I'm not happy with that, and I don't like watching him on TV anymore, especially as an over-sexualized gimmick. You'll have seen, if you watched my watch along of NXT, I was like, do we, like, you're swinging your crotch in someone's face, and yet I've got all this knowledge, accusations that WWE's said didn't happen. We've investigated it, and then the accuser says no one contacted me. It's just a mess. It's just a mess, and it gets in the way of the wrestling big time. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video so more people can see it. The Dark Order will take over AEW and drink the Kool-Aid. It's strawberry flavor. Brilliant, Mr. Wrestling Hands, brilliant. And Alex is yours now, mate. Alex is yours. Mr. Wrestling Hands is the exalted one. Andrew says, "Hey, I'm back. Welcome, mate. I am going to wrap this up in a minute." And Alex agrees, says, "Yeah, celebrities sometimes get blinded by fame." Indeed, they do. Dude, it's been awesome hanging out with you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please tell someone about it. It's real weird doing this by yourself. It's not as easy. Creepy already. I'm a creepy dude, man. I'm a creepy dude. And I've got some opinions, and I just share them on a little internet show. I hope you've enjoyed it, you know, and thank you so much for spending time with us tonight, or any time in the past. And check out some of our other stuff. We've got other stuff on here that's decent, some that's not. Let's go find it and enjoy it and have a good time. But hopefully, I'll see you again in the future. You know, we are doing the SummerSlam watch along on the Wrestle Stories chat. Love them guys, great people. So we're gonna have a little party with them, and we'll all be reacting to Braun crushing the Fiend or the Fiend crushing Braun or what have you. So that should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. The next live stream is, I don't know if Dom's doing one tomorrow. I don't know. Dom's got a lot of work to do with his university degree, so he said he's going to try to. We really want to do an AEW one because we both really enjoyed that, and actually the audience has been really good for that. But I've already made plans, I'm afraid, so I can't do one. But Sunday we are definitely on with a Wrestle Story, and I'm not going to guarantee it, but if I can do Monday, I'm waiting to hear back from my work to see if I'm going to be at work. If I'm at work, I can't really do these. You know what I mean? It's 5:10 in the morning. You know what I mean? So if I can do it on Monday, I will do it. And the best way to sort of hear about it, if you do enjoy it, is to hit the notification, the little bell, and say turn notifications on. And if you're busy or something, just ignore it. You know, it'll come up on a notification as your phone or device or whatever. Oh, we've got more questions and stuff. Okay, hi Andrew. I hope that answers your question, Andrew. Ricky Steamboat Dragon and Macho Man at WrestleMania 3 for the IC title was an all-time classic. One of my favorite WrestleMania matches to this day. Yes, it is. Go check my review of it on Wrestling Rewind. I love that match. Brilliant. I don't think there was a better match at WrestleMania until maybe WrestleMania 10 with the ladder match. I love the ladder match. And then the Owen and Brett match was brilliant. So yeah, when's the next live stream? Hope that answers you. Dude, Alex, I'd love to do TakeOver AEW, but I've already made plans, I'm afraid, and my girlfriend lets me do this as it is, and I don't want to annoy her too much. So I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be able to do it tomorrow. Hope Dom might do it, but you know, I can't guarantee. I would like for you to react to the Braun Strowman versus the Fiend match at SummerSlam with live chat if you can do that. Andrew, I can do that. The only issue is it's not going to be on this channel. Let me get the channel that we're going to. So we work a lot with, I know that you're new here. She was on the show on Monday. So if you go back to our last Monday review, it would be there. She's actually live now. We're going to the Wrestle Stories channel. So what we've said is that, because what's the point in, like, we both share a lot of the same fans because we've sort of grown together in many senses. And what's the point in us both doing individual live streams where we can do one together and sort of not make people have to choose, you know what I mean? And everyone can enjoy it together and you can introduce yourself to new people. There'll be a lot of people there. There'll be more people there that way. So we're doing SummerSlam with them and then they're coming to do All Out with us. So I'm going to get the channel right now for you, mate. Share and I'll copy it into chat. There you go. So that's the channel we are going to be on. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for understanding, mate. I do appreciate that. Yeah, cool. For copyright reasons or because you don't have Fox or WWE Network? How do you mean, mate? So you want to, I mean, there's copyright reasons. So we can't show the wrestling on screen because we'd be copyrighted and our video would instantly be blocked, you know what I mean? And we can't, like, there's no point in us making content for it to just be blocked. So we can't show anything or even really hear anything, which is crap, I know. I know it's really, I know it's not ideal what we do and the way that we do it. Ideally, we'd have a little screen of it, but again, copyright, like, it's not worth it for us because then it'll just be taken off and you'll all be kicked off and then we'll lose the channel. And do you know what I mean? It's rubbish. I think we can use 10 seconds of video per video as long as it's like or in 10-minute different segments and stuff like that. We can't do that. So sorry, I hope you understand about that. But like I say, we will be on the Wrestle Story. She is live now, so go over there and say, "Oh yeah." Mr. Wrestling Hands, tell her to drink the Kool-Aid. And tell Mr. G to drink the Kool-Aid as well. Guys, it's been an awesome show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll do the whole year thing. I'm gonna count down from 5, and then we're all gonna shout "Hull yeah," which is where we're from. That's why we're called Hull yeah, Andrew. Just so you know. Sorry. Well, there is a 3-strike thing. If you get a copyright strike, you have 2 more strikes. That's the rules on YouTube. Alex, yeah, I'll get to it. But yes, that's right, Andrew. But again, like, we could get a copyright strike for singing, which I might do at some point, just because I might just burst into a song because I find it funny. And if we get 3 of them, then our channel's down and no one gets to have this. Do you know what I mean? So that's why we can't do it like that. But hopefully, like I said, go join the Wrestle Story. And hey, Glenn, are you alright, mate? Oh, here we go. WWE 2K20 Universe Mode PS4 NXT Wednesday night 7 p.m. September 2nd 2020 NXT matches card. Indeed, Glenn, thank you Dom's not here to read it out. Dom loves reading out your messages. Yeah, I'll do a whole year countdown. So I hope that makes sense, Andrew, and hopefully you'll join us with the Wrestle Story. Go over there now and say hello, or say whole year to them. But until now, we're going to do it on our channel. That's a 5, and that's a 4, and that's a 3, and that's a 2, and that's a 1, and that's a whole year. I love Big E. How would Big E do it? Whole year. Oh, I've got a really funny video of Big E that I need to put on our entrance at some point. I'll do that. I'll fix that at some point. I need time. Take it easy, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you.
This is Broken Matt Hardy. Thank you for watching the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling Podcast.